Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
When will they come? When will they come? When will they come and set us free?
This is episode 215, recorded May 8th, 2024.
Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rod, and this podcast about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. With me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing really good, and I'm not afraid of the dark, but sometimes I stub my toe.
It happens. It happens when the lights are out. Things will happen. All right. Also joining us tonight is writer, director, specialist, guru, all-around nice guy, and published author, the one and only Bill Mulligan.
Hey, I'm doing fine. You know, I'm pretty old. And you know how I got old? Because if I move into a house like this house here and the people who live there ahead of time or knew about it said, oh, don't open that door. I'm like, I got plenty of doors here I can open. I will not give it another thought. I think I'll put the refrigerator right there in front of that not to be open door.
Yep. That happens.
Metal plate up there and weld it shut.
That's why nobody ever made a horror movie about me.
Yeah, but they might. Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist, co-host of all the Decades of Horror, and a writer-director himself. How you doing, Chad?
I, on the other hand, am very, very, very afraid of the dark.
Afraid.
Sometimes I even wet myself.
No. That's not even if it's dark.
That's just a Wednesday.
I was going to say it's Wednesday. Time to wet yourself. All right, we are going to review. All kidding aside, Don't Be Afraid of Dark, the 1973 TV movie. So if you didn't read the byline and all that, that's what we're doing. But before we get into that and get into a lot of fun, Jeff, you have some words about Play Now Media?
Yes, we are. We're partnering with Play Now Media, and they show Decades of Horror on some of their channels. And in fact, Decades of Horror of the 1970s is on the Wicked Horror TV channel, along with Classic Era and the 1980s. And Classic Era is also on the Classic Horror Movie channel and the Classic Sci-Fi Movie channel. So y'all can check us out there. They got a lot of good movies.
They do indeed. They do indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to do ZZ Top in LaGrange, but it didn't come out.
Yeah. I can't do it either. I should never have tried. What we're going to do this, we're going. I'm totally off track. We're going to share when we first saw this, what our first impressions were, and then we're going to get a discussion about the film, talk about the cast, the reaction, the TV movie part of it, and all kinds of other goodies. And we're going to do like baseball things. Jeff's over there doing go south. Then there you go. Then do we have feedback tonight?
We have feedback. Oh my Lord, do we have feedback?
We got lots of feedback for you. So let's just jump into it. Let's take a look at the card and get in some details, because this card is fun for Jeff Mohr's of the world. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, 1973. It's a TV movie from Newland, written by Nigel McKeand. The cast includes Kim Darby, Jim Hutton, Barbara Anderson, William Demarest, pictured, and Pedro Armendariz Jr.
Very good.
The creatures are played by Felix Silla. Or Sia. Is it Sia there, Bill, or Silla? Tomorrow,
I kept saying Silla, so I hope I was right.
I hope you were right too. Tomorrow,
you didn't correct me.
And Patty Maloney. Yeah, that's right. You tabled a conversation with them down at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Production company is Laura Marr Productions. The filming location is the Peru Mansion in Peru, California. Piru, maybe, I don't know. Slightly over 2 weeks. So the filming dates. I love it. Release date was October 10th, 1973, Wednesday, ABC Movie of the Week. It's also known as Gate of Darkness, Nightmare in Europe, Les Creatures de l'Ombre in French, Shadow Creatures. Okay. The synopsis is a young couple inherits an old mansion inhabited by small demon-like creatures who are determined to make the wife one of their own. And of course, the movie was remade in 2010 to lesser effect, I might say. There's no German title there, Jeff?
Nope.
Right.
Well, if there was, it was just "Don't Be Afraid of the Dark." You know,
Don't be afraid of the dark.
I wasn't impressed.
Before we get in, do we want to do our first impressions first and then do taglines, or do you want to do taglines?
Yes,
first?
Let's do first impressions first.
All right, let's do this. Who picked this? Did I didn't pick it. Who picked it? Jeff, you're first.
I picked it.
When did you first see this? What was your first impression, and does it hold up today?
Well, you know, back in the day, I might have seen it. It was a Wednesday night. But who knows? I was I don't even know where I was living then. I was either in a dorm or an apartment or at home, something. Anyway. But anyway, we've had a lot of people talk about this. So we had a couple people suggest this, and I got to look it up. I had the name written down before, and I don't have that in front of me. And we've talked about it several times, and I finally found a source that we could stream it from. So I was glad to be able to do that. And it's really very interesting. I mean, Jim Hutton is like the worst husband. Anyway, until all of a sudden he sees a sign that these things are real. So anyway, in terms of Kim Darby, I've never been a big Kim Darby fan, but I think she does a pretty good job in this. Jim Hutton's fine. I love William Demarest, as you can see by putting that picture up there. Good old Uncle Charlie. And the creatures are kind of cool too. I mean, they're partly not cool, but I could go with it. You know, I'm thinking 73 TV movie, low budget. So not great creatures, but they were creepy as all get out, and man, they got around. So I think I'll stop there, but I enjoyed it. For 1973, I think it was probably a pretty good TV movie.
Yeah, we'll have more to say about that. Chad Hunter, when did you first see Don't Be Afraid of the Dark from 1973, and what was your first impression, and does it hold up today?
I saw this as a wee lad.
And
I watched it with my mom and my aunt, my mom's sister, and they thought it was the scariest thing they'd ever seen, and I thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Oh no!
I was one of those little kids that just, why did they do that? Well, why are they taking her? Why are they taking what? It doesn't make any sense. Why didn't he say something? Why didn't he tell them what was in the basement? Why? You know, I was that kid, so that's how I remember seeing it. And at the end, I was like, "What a ripoff! This is stupid!"
Wow.
You know, and they're like, "Go to bed."
Yeah, really.
My goodness.
So I was
piss on the evening. Jeez.
It didn't. Watching it again the other night didn't change my opinion.
Oh no! Oh no!
But the one thing I will say is I remember this one a lot more than I did the remake.
Yeah.
And,
do you remember who was in the remake? We'll throw that out there.
Wasn't it?
Yep.
Guy Pearce and Holmes.
Yep.
Katie Holmes.
Yep.
See, I told you I couldn't remember.
Couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Bill Mulligan, sir. When did you first see Don't Be Afraid of the Dark from 1973?
I saw it when I was 12 years old because I watched it as the Wednesday movie of the night or whatever. Yeah, I saw it first run. And okay, so I was 12 years old and it seemed pretty good at the time. The monsters were appropriately creepy. It was scary in that Twilight Zone kind of scary, which is not very scary. But the ending just shows you this is one of those movies people remember it real fondly, and when you're watching it you're like, I don't quite get this, but you got to understand that ending was such a downer, and so like, wait, you know, we're used to the hero comes along, the husband saves the wife, they kill the monsters, the place burns to the ground, and that's the last we see is them holding each other, and the danger has passed, and that kind of did not happen at all. And I think about it, but there were a lot of those TV movies at the time, and I'm fond of those TV movies just because they transport me back to the time. A lot of them had very downbeat endings, more downbeat than the endings you got at the movie theater for horror movies often. And I find that interesting. And I don't know why it is, unless it's just that they thought, well, we can get away with this because at least they're in their house. You know, like you turn off the movie and you're in your house, you can go to bed and you're safe in your little domicile and everything. And as opposed to having to walk out to the parking lot and get in the empty, cold car and drive home and thinking about what you just saw. I don't know. It just seemed like horror movies were TV horror movies often had good endings. And those endings are what you remember. When you ask people, so what happens in this movie, they'll tell you the last 5 minutes. And that's about it. And the movie seems longer than it is to get to that pretty cool ending. But that being said, the monsters are neat, and memorable. So I can see why they remade it. And the funny thing is that this is what I always would say is, why are they remaking good movies? Why don't they remake ones that were, you know, they had something going for them, but they really needed a fresh look. So when I heard they were remaking this, I was like, yes, this is going to be great. And apparently it really wasn't. I haven't actually seen the remake.
It fell short.
Short. Oh, well.
The effects were better. Everything was better, but it still fell short. I
think maybe the problem is that the effects were better, but really there isn't enough story there. They had to come up with something more than what there is here.
Didn't Guillermo del Toro have something?
Yeah.
He produced it.
He was a producer. Yeah.
I would expect big things from him.
That was this was a favorite of his that he remembered as scaring him.
Right. Absolutely.
Like 4 years old, I think, or something like that.
4 years old.
That might be the age.
I'm going to throw a banana at him. I saw this when I was 8. And yes, I saw it on Wednesday night, the night it came out. And with the family, we all watched it. I remember it scaring my mom. I remember my dad probably fell asleep. This is a time when we were getting the Kolchak movies. We were getting Gargoyles. And, you know, there's and we had a couple TV shows like that were out and about at this point. And this movie, I had an entirely different reaction, Chad. I was glued to it. This movie creeped me out with the little things running through the house. And I do remember the effects and the makeup being a lot better when I rewatched it here this weekend. But at the same time, for me personally, I think it holds up. I like the forced perspective. It's a little dated, but at the same time, it's very effective. They start off with you see the green light when they show up, and so they're there. You have the sounds, and it's basically you have your main character that sees them and nobody believes her except for the crazy old man who they don't want to. They just get mad at him because he's frightening the wife, right?
Right.
So I mean, to me, it holds up. I really enjoyed rewatching this. I found it quite enjoyable. I think it's below like Gargoyles and such. Gargoyles is a magnificent film and a special, but it's similar in ways because what's interesting, like Gargoyles, you see the Gargoyles early in the movie. Here you do as well. You see these creatures. You don't wait till the last 5 minutes to see the creatures. You see them about halfway through, and you see more and more and more of them everywhere, all around. And I like that. The performances are hit and miss because even Jim Hutton comes in and he feels like he's sleeping through it at first. Toward the end, the script kind of beefs him up at the end. You can see him getting more interested. I mean, the house is creepy. It looks like the house from the House movie in the 80s, but not. But it has the same kind of shape and style to it. I'm not good with house styles, but that's a certain style of house, and it's the same style. So it always has that one. The little access to the basement that just kind of bounces open all the time. And that creeped me out. I just thinking that there was something in the basement, just the whole concept of that just creeped me out. So I really enjoyed this whole experience. It really took me back. And I do remember watching this film and talking about like the next day at school, right, Bill?
This was quite the topic of conversation.
But I've not seen it since.
Neither have I.
And it got replayed often. I mean, they played it. I remember they started playing movies at 11:30 or maybe 12:30.
Right after the news.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that would be 11:30. Yeah. Like on Thursdays or Fridays or something like that. And this
Mm-hmm.
movie played a couple times then, I remember. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, it was replayed pretty quickly in 1975 as the mystery movie of the week on
there you go.
Saturday night, I think. By the way, the person that suggested this is Lone Wolf.
Lone Wolf.
Lone Wolf.
Well, thank you, Lone Wolf. As I crossed it off the list.
This isn't like I said, I didn't care for it all that much as a kid. And maybe that's why I look at it now and I go back. You know how I'm watching movies will take you back to where you were. I feel like there's a script written for a sequel to this in somebody's file cabinet. It never got made because there were so many things in here that were just unanswered. Like who's coming to set them free? You know, when they would say stuff like that, and
what are they?
What the hell are they, and where do they come from, and who? You know, I'm assuming the old man that got dragged into her father or whatever, he was one of them now. Maybe that's why he wants her.
Oh, maybe. Man, see, that actually I hadn't thought of that, but that would make sense, and nothing like that's.
Yeah, that's the only thing. The thing I had wrong with it is as a kid, it frustrated me because I didn't know what was going on. And I couldn't piece together anything that would make sense.
Yeah, you know how these movies usually have that one, doctor exposition who comes in and explains everything, and you're like, well, no, actually, I missed that guy. I wish he had like. Well,
they do that, and then they give him a phone call to stop it midway.
Right, right. And even on the ride back to the house, he still doesn't tell the whole story. He doesn't get a chance.
Still gets cut off.
So. But I love Uncle Charlie. I love all the actors in it.
Oh, he's great.
There is that weird shot when she unbolts the flu part of it.
Yeah.
Right. Or I don't know how they'd ever get the ashes out because it's this ridiculous shot that makes it look like it goes like forever down,
like another dimension or something.
Yeah, it's really weird. But that's the only time you get that shot is when she looks in and has the flashlight. They don't even do it when Jim Hutton looks in.
See, and I thought, when I was a kid, I thought the ending was that she was, that they had kidnapped her and she's like living down there like Snow White with the little dwarfs and everything. But I guess no, she actually, now people are like, oh, she becomes one of them. It's like, oh, okay, I never got that, But why? Why does she become? And how do they squish her down like in Phantasm? I mean, throw me a freaking bone. Are they hobgoblins? Are they brownies? Are they elves? Or what?
Let's see the sequel.
Let's see the sequel. Why don't we do taglines? Maybe the taglines will give us a hint.
Taglines.
Now, before we do, can I say one thing?
No.
I want to know. Jeff, I want you to put your hand on a Bible and swear to me that you didn't make these up for a television movie.
Well, I just kind of made one up.
I know it.
You bugger.
But,
And yet I bet his will be better than some of the actual non-made-up taglines.
Anyway, so, this is the thing we wait for all week. I dream about this at night.
Oh, really? Oh.
You're easily amused, aren't you?
Wow.
It is now time for Taglines with Chad.
So
As played by Chad, his own self.
So he says.
All right. The taglines for Don't Be Afraid of the Dark are as follows. Can you see them, Sally? Hiding in the shadows. They're alive, Sally. They want you to be one of them when the lights go out.
Yeah, well, that sums it up.
That's literally what's in the movie.
Yeah. Number 2. A story of something not human.
Well, that could be Lassie Come Home.
Yeah. What happened, Lassie? Jimmy fell in the well.
Yeah.
That was 2 days ago.
Timmy.
Okay.
Whatever.
Timmy fell in the well.
Let him. How is he going to learn if we keep taking him out?
Right. You you know, I just left him, let him learn his lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You got in there.
Now you see them, now you don't. Now you die.
Okay, that's actually
I kind of like that one.
yeah,
That's standard tagline construction. Right?
yeah.
The demons wait. Don't open the door to the unknown.
I like that too.
Yeah. Okay, here. I'm assuming this is one Jeff made up. Don't let little Chad spoil the movie for you.
Yeah. Yeah. If he asks too many questions, a good swat on the back of the head will. There's your answer.
I think I did get one, so for asking too many questions.
Yeah, but I want to.
Ben.
Oh, sorry.
Taglines for Chad.
I ruined it. Sorry. There we go.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Always.
Which one? Which one does this best? Is it that one? I guess it's that one. All right.
I keep meaning to redo yours. But.
Yeah, I want to do this one because it has the movie of the week thing that would be in a TV guide or something similar. And there's one of the taglines. So
Yeah,
Bill, they actually had taglines.
That's right, they did.
And I guess that's like a VHS version of it down below.
Can you see them, Sally?
sometimes they come out at night.
Oh, look, the story of Something Not Humans there too. So wow, they doubled down. And did it really? That's seven.
There's something not human sneaking up behind you there on the wall.
Yeah. So is 7:30 East Coast or is that Central? That's got to be Central, right?
Yeah,
that's Central. Yeah, it was 8:30 East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been 8:30.
Yeah, because there was a time when things would start at 7:30, right? But not in the 70s.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. Prime time starts at 8 o'clock. By golly.
By golly.
Standard 7:30 to 9 was our standard.
3 hours of entertainment.
Mm-hmm. And
you guys worked 9 to 5. We worked 8 to 4 or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because Central. Yeah, but but this you got to remember. In the 70s, you gathered as a family in front of the TV for at least 2 of those 3 hours. At least for us children.
There was only one TV.
We typically
go
to
the Rockefellers here, you know.
Right.
There were no phones, iPads, or anything to watch movies on. You watched it. You watched it. Whatever Dad was watching, you watched that.
And that 2 weeks there, it wasn't. I think I had that as filming dates, but it actually says total production time, including script approval by Lorimar, casting, special effects, voiceovers, and exterior shots was slightly over 2 weeks, making this one of the quickest made-for-TV movie turnarounds.
Damn!
I think they were trying to beat a writer's strike or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
2 weeks is pretty flippin' impressive.
It is. I mean, it's hard to imagine even doing that, right?
This is the 48-hour film festival of horror.
Yeah, you'd have to approve it with no changes, pretty much. Wouldn't you? I mean, you would.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah, you'd have to say, run with it, which may explain some of the lack of exposition and stuff like that.
Well, I don't mind that at all. To me, it's sort of like these people moving into the house, they're not going to know what it was. And nobody's supposed to talk about it. If you talk about it, they attack you, you know, they threaten Uncle Charlie.
I mean, okay, that's a plausible. That's right. Except we have a person who is established to know what's going on, and he keeps getting cock blocked every time he's about to tell us.
That's true. He does.
It's frustrating.
That telephone call meant nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, she said 2 words, and the little monster comes up and goes, click.
Yeah, but that was to get. They had to get things going. We got to get them back to the house.
My favorite was the how they turned the light switch off
with the coat hanger. Yeah,
oh yes. Oh my gosh! And then she would turn it off and wait for him, and then turn it on, and they'll go. Ah!
Resourceful little spud.
But I remember being frightened by that as a 8-year-old.
Oh, it is.
Chad wasn't. Chad was like, "What?"
I've seen much scarier stuff by that time in my life.
There's something more scary about little things sometimes, you know, like they're like little rats.
Oh yeah.
I would admit to that, but knowing the audience that we have, I would dare not say it out loud.
Now, if it was a whole bunch of crawling hands,
I would. You couldn't even have got me to watch that.
Do we go? Did you want to say something, Jeff? Sorry.
It can wait.
Okay, I was just going to move on to the director, John Newland.
He was an actor and a director, and he made lots of TV stuff and very few movies.
Yep, true. True.
And the one that was kind of a holy grail for a while because it's got some stop motion in it. So I was always trying to find this movie, The Legend of Hillbilly John, based on the short stories of Manly Wade Hellman. Was that his name?
Wellman.
The greatest name ever. Manly Wade Wellman. I mean,
a balladeer who traveled the mountains, Silver John, with silver strings in his guitar. I don't know.
That's not a TV movie. That's actually a theatrical film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know who did the stop motion in that? Because it's not very good.
I think it was Gene Warren. It's not great, but that movie looks like it cost $1.25. I mean,
right.
Oh, yeah.
That's maybe the best part of the movie.
oh no, there's no maybe about it. That is the best part of the movie.
Yeah, and of course
that's to do that one day. It's just so dated.
We should. Yeah,
the great shock ending is just so 70s. It's
I love it. Of course, that's him. And One Step Beyond. He hosted and did he direct some of them or just host it? I would imagine he directed some.
I think he may have directed you.
One Step and I think it said he directed all of them.
Oh. Well, there you go. He directed all of them.
Well, this was kind of a I think
Alfred
it was kind
Hitchcock
of a Ripley's
presents,
kind of thing. I don't.
Didn't this used to be a radio show before it came to TV, didn't it? One Step Beyond.
Yeah. I think it was like supposed to be true stories of people's experience with the supernaturals kind of stuff.
Yeah, kind of like like they were semi-fictional. It seemed to be semi-legit, bullshit or not, but I never really liked it that much because I really liked Twilight Zone, and just about everything that wasn't Twilight Zone felt to me like Twilight Zone light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed like a copycat, right? Because it's so superior. But he, other genre stuff he would do, because he did a lot of TV, Route 66, all kinds of stuff. But he would do episodes of Thriller, Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yeah.
Let's see, there's more.
Yeah, listen, directed for all 96 episodes of One Step Beyond. I'm sorry.
Wow, nice. And of course, Chad, he did an episode of Star Trek, as we have on there.
Cool.
Was that the first one to have Klingons? Errand of Mercy? It was definitely a very influential one. It's where the Klingons and the Federation are about to go to war, but this planet of mild-mannered peaceniks turns out that they have superpowers, and they enforce the... Yeah. So it was pretty influential. Good episode. One of my favorites.
He did direct an episode of Night Gallery in the 70s. He also did a TV movie called Crawl Space. And Sixth Sense, 3 episodes of that TV show series.
What was the one Joseph used to always talk about? Something about Full Circle or Beer Circle?
I think that's another name for the Sixth Sense. That's an alternative
for
Sixth Sense.
You're absolutely right.
The Sixth Sense, which I remember watching that series when it came out too. Of course, that was a year before this. So, and that's another one.
Episodes of Policewoman.
There you go.
And here's another one. The Next Step Beyond. What's that?
The next.
I think that was a reimagining of One Step Beyond that came later.
Yeah.
Enough 78 and 79.
Now, so what kind of makes sense? I mean, this whole movie has that feel of those Twilight Zone type shows.
Yep. I mean, there's almost a Twilight Zone that has little critters in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But how does he? My question to you three is, how does he do? How do you feel did he succeed or fail in directing this particular movie?
I think it's all right, and for a 2-week movie, it's quite good. They pull off some of the the effects are pulled off pretty well. I mean, really, knowing now that this movie was such a rush job, my respect for it is elevated.
Mine too. I think they did something really great in 2 weeks. If that's the case. But yeah, it was shot very well. I thought it was anyway. And the editing when it came to the creatures and the interaction with the humans and that was all done really, really well.
Yeah. All the force perspective and stuff.
The giant, the giant Batman props. These little guys had to climb around. Yeah, it was all really good.
And I mean,
yeah,
if you scrutinize it, you can pick it apart. But on the surface, it's very believable. I mean, when she's in the bathroom and they turn the lights, and then she comes out and she's turning the lights on and off, and they're coming out of all the little nooks and crannies. That worked. I mean, it felt like they were coming out of those little spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeff. No, go.
I was just going to say it reminded me of Evil Dead 2 with all the little ashes running around.
Interesting. Yes.
I thought he did a real good job of building tension.
Yep.
They had the shadow, and it was one of those ones where you can, at least for me, I could always see the thing I was supposed to be seeing. Yeah. Sometimes they get too dark, or on those old movies, they start to fade.
No, it was well shot, I thought.
And I thought they handled the aspect of why doesn't she just leave the house at the end? And when they give her the doctor leaves her the sleeping pills and they put in her drink, so she they still could have carried her out, but you wouldn't do that. I mean, in a normal circumstance, you wouldn't do it. We know what's really going on, so we would say do it. But just get some rest. Well, when you wake up, we'll leave. So the fact that she's staying in the house feels believable, and that's it wasn't as much of a trope then as it is now, I suppose. Yeah. But
it was frustrating, because she keeps trying to tell her husband what's going on, and he keeps telling her to just knock it off, And the weird thing is he didn't want to move there. He wanted to move to an apartment in the city, but yet when she's giving him ammunition to move back,
right?
He's not gaslighting, but he's not paying any attention to her. Oh, you're just being a woman. You're dreaming. Just go to bed.
Yeah, you think you jump at it. It's like, I think there are gremlins in this house.
He does that. He does worse than He does the cursory look under the bed, look in the closet. See, there's nothing there.
And then he calls Uncle Charlie right after that and goes, I want you to know my wife is extremely upset, not because I'm yelling at her, but because of something else.
I know, and he goes off on him, man.
Right.
But he does hang up on him. So hey,
Well, there's
Uncle Charlie says nope.
This movie. There's no really to root for. The husband's a jerk. The wife, there's not a lot of personality there. A lot of these TV movies did take that premise, though. Maybe that's why everyone's moms and grandmas and aunts seem to like this movie so much. It's the woman with her woman's intuition knows that there's something wrong, and nobody believes her. They are quick. They're going to give her nerve pills and send her to a sanitarium, but they're not going to believe anything. There was a whole bunch of movies. There was one where there's a woman buried in the ground, and this little old lady insists that she hears voices, and everyone's just ready to pack her off to the funny farm.
Yep. Who was it?
Screaming Woman. It was a famous actress too, but I can't remember who it was. Like
dating.
Yeah, it's like Betty Davis or somebody like that. I can't.
Yeah, all the way back to the 19th century. They're drugging them and calling them. They have
hysterical.
Hysteria. They have this. They have that.
You arguably could say today as well, but that's a different story.
Oh yeah, it was my aunt that was watching it with us was when he was yelling at her and he was on the phone with William Demarest and hangs up with him. My aunt says, "That man ain't worth a damn."
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
And
he's not. He doesn't rescue her in the end. I mean, actually, that's pretty perceptive of the movie.
When they get there, it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's what's frustrating is even when they believe it, like things conspire to keep them from actually.
Too late now.
Yep.
Because
we'll
go downstairs.
Out.
Yes. No, don't go downstairs, you dumbasses.
They stop by Taco Bell on the way to the house.
I know.
The networks knew who did most of the shopping in the house. So when this movie's over and the couple turn to each other and she's like, "Well, the moral of the story of this movie was you should listen to your wife."
Yep.
Yes, dear.
Let's go through the. Let's go. Yeah. Happy wife, happy life. Let's go ahead and go through the cast. Let's start off with our lead actress. And Jeff, you'll have to hit the card because I don't see it.
Oh, I will. Will I? Where'd she go? There she is. Kim Darby. Whose original name was Zerby.
Sure.
And she was the daughter of the Dancing Zerbies.
Oh, wow. The Dancing Zerbies.
Were they on the Ed Sullivan Show or something?
I don't think so. They just had a dancing act. I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, but most people will recognize her from True Grit. So, but Chad, you remember her from another movie, right?
I remember her from Better Off Dead.
Yeah.
She played the mother, the nerdy mother of John Cusack, and who thought they were being really culturally awesome because she goes, tonight we'll be serving French food. And he goes, and one of the other kids goes, it's French. She goes, French fries. It was incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Where's my $2?
The only part I liked about it was the Van Halen hamburger.
Oh my God! The animated
one thing they showed in the ads. Yeah,
yeah.
Thought the whole movie.
She was in the Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Is that Halloween 5?
She was in one of the Halloween, not one of the better Halloweens, but hey,
played Debbie Strode.
Strode.
Yeah, somebody in the family.
Yeah.
I've seen.
We don't
that, but
talk
I just
about
don't
Halloween
remember.
5. Yeah, nobody remembers Halloween
Curse
5.
of Michael Myers.
But she started being in stuff. She was uncredited in the movie Bye Bye Birdie when she was like 15 or 16. 63.
Yeah, she was pretty young in the Star Trek episode Miri, and then this other one, The People, which I've never seen. I don't remember seeing it. It's a TV.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Had William Shatner in it, so I guess they got together again for that one.
That Miri was pretty good. That's the one that had Michael J. Pollard too.
So the kids
all died when they got to a certain age. Yeah.
But yeah, she did the usual TV
Episode
thing. She was in Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Teresa San Francisco, Marcus Welby, MD, you name it. Yeah. Police Story. And she was in a series, The Circle of Fear. I think that might be
that's the one I was thinking of.
You were thinking about.
I had it mixed up with the.
So if you're an actor back then, you could make a pretty good living for yourself just doing characters in these one episode of Love American Style or whatever, and keep yourself working all year long. It was a good time.
Ironside, Love Story.
Love Boat. Every actor did these shows at one point or another. It seems like, right? Back in the day.
Police Story, Petrocelli, Archer. God, it's just one after Beretta.
Beretta.
I used to love watching Beretta.
I did too, but when I look at it now, it's really deep.
Yeah, it's hard to watch now.
There's a lot of those shows that are a little cringy. But...
That's the name of that too.
Oh, then we got Jim Hutton. There was a show called Ellery Queen. He was Ellery Queen, and I watched that show. I loved that show. It was only long, like 1, maybe 2 seasons. So that's what I primarily remember him as, but he was in tons of stuff. And of course, well, we'll get to his lineage here in a minute, but
he died ridiculously young.
It was in the 40s, right?
Yeah.
Because she was in her 20s and he was in his 30s when they made this, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
There's a bit of an age difference.
Maybe that's why their marriage
been
is so
26.
unfulfilling.
Yeah.
26, yeah.
He's like 40. Wasn't he in The Love Bug?
Was he?
The Love Bug? Herbie?
I must be thinking of something else.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of, God, I can't remember his name now that you mentioned it, but there's Who's Mining the Mint is a comedy from 67.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember him in, and he was in Green Beret. The Green Beret.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I don't think I've seen Psychic Killer.
I haven't either. And then Ellery Queen was 75, 76. So was it just one season? I guess it was. But it was always The Adventure of. Except for the last one. The last one was Too Many Suspects. The Adventure of all the way down to the very last one.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that show. I don't know if it's any good. I have not seen it since. But I just remember
in a Twilight Zone.
Yep.
Pretty early, yeah.
I used to love those cop shows. What were the ones, the Quinn Martin productions that would always have these super dramatic tonight's episode?
Yeah.
Baker, Taylor, soldier, death. It always the last word was always death. It made no sense, but you know.
That was a bunch
I think
of those,
Streets of San Francisco was one of them, wasn't it?
Right.
I think FBI was too.
Yeah.
FBI with
FBI, yes.
I suppose we should mention that his son Timothy Hutton, of course, was a famous actor starting in the 80s, late 70s, 80s. Worthy note.
Strong resemblance too.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. But Ordinary People was the movie that brought him to, and that was in 1980. That was shortly after his father died, right? Because didn't he die in when did he die? 79. Yeah, June 2nd of 79. Died of liver cancer.
Ugh.
Oh man.
Oh, well, this doesn't sound familiar. Psychic killer, a former mental patient uses astral projection to destroy the people he believes has wronged him.
Sounds like a plot to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like Patrick a little bit, doesn't it?
A little bit.
A lot.
A lot of it. Yeah.
Remember when astral projection was a big thing for like a week?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Not if you read Doctor Strange comics.
No, it became a life, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll get to William Demarest and Jeff. I'll let you just share who in the world is William Demarest.
Well, I had to go look it up because my memory said that William Frawley was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. My mind wasn't playing tricks on me. He played a character called Bub. And if you don't, the name William Frawley doesn't ring a bell. He was Fred Mertz on I Love Lucy.
He was great.
And he was in the first 5 seasons of that and left because of ill health and died of a heart attack walking home from a movie. Anyway, but yeah, William Demarest. There I am talking about a guy that's not even in the movie again.
I know, it's hard to get a little confused.
William Demarest. Yeah, so Uncle Charlie on My Three Sons, and I don't know.
He showed up because now that was the one with Fred McMurray, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he had like
a rotating cast of kids as they aged out. You know?
Yeah, he had his wife. I guess his wife was dead because people didn't get divorced back then. And he had the 3 most clean-cut kids on earth. But they always needed, one old guy, either Fred Mertz or Uncle Charlie here to help corral them.
Well, it was the 60s. That's the way all the sitcom families were like that.
Yeah,
65 to 72. It was on for.
He was in it, and the show was on longer than that. I think the show was like 380 episodes, and he was on 215.
Wow.
Yeah.
But he's also in stuff like. It's a bad.
Yes, he's Ulysses. Mm-hmm. He's the deputy to. I'm drawing a blank. Oh no!
I know who you're talking about, but I'm drawing a blank too.
It's coming up.
Spencer
Tracy. Yeah, he's the deputy Spencer Tracy because he gets Aloysius. He gets so disappointed, but then he turns around and says, "No." He's going to side with him.
This one's for Daphne. He was also in That Darn Cat.
That darn cat. It's funny. He's in Viva Las Vegas for Elvis movies.
Wow.
And he's good in this. He's the harbinger. I'm an old guy and I know things. Don't ask me questions. Just
you're all gonna die. Then I'll have to sweep the floor again.
Yeah, but his career started in
the jazz singer or something. Yeah.
1927. There's all kinds of movies he's in. It looks like a lot of westerns and stuff. I'm not going to go naming any of these. There's just so many different wild movies. I don't recognize any of them off the top of my head, but I'm zipping through them pretty fast. But I mean,
that's impressive.
Yeah, Jossen story as well, just to make it double down.
The titles are pretty funny, actually. One of them is The Gay Old Bird.
The Gay Old Bird.
Excuse my dust. Love it.
Excuse my dust.
Yep. And then, he's in 50s, he transitioned to TV like a lot of actors did.
Oh,
so
Okay, I'm sorry, but I have to go back 1 second. William Frawley was born in Burlington, Iowa.
Ah, okay.
That's all.
Favorite son. Yeah.
Just down the street from you.
Makes sense. Now.
There you go.
No wonder he drank so much.
Relatively speaking.
Southeast corner.
So, do you have anything for our supporting actress, Barbara Anderson?
No.
Oh no! Why
Don't
not?
have a shot.
No shot of Barbara
Amazingly
Anderson.
beautiful, though. You can say.
Yeah. Ironside, right? 67
Ironside. That's the
yeah.
one. 105 episodes of Ironside. She was the
and she was in and she was Lenore in an episode of Star Trek.
Oh, is it true? They made Ironside because he didn't. The lead actor didn't want to be standing around the whole time, so they came up with a way that he could be sitting the whole time.
I don't know.
It's a great story.
It is a great story.
The lead actor, Raymond Berry.
Raymond Burr. Yeah, I'm drawing blanks on names. I swear, I'm getting old.
Gentlemen, that won't stop Godzilla.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
But the usual suspects in here.
She's all right. She's not a very. She's kind of a clueless character. Like she cares about the Kim Darby character, but yet I don't know.
She was the first one to believe her.
Yeah, but you know,
because she showed her the rope burns.
But that's so stupid. It's like, listen, someone tells you, okay, there's these little hobgoblins or gremlins. I don't know what the hell they are, but they tell you this incredible story, and you're thinking, oh my God, my friend is having a mental breakdown or is taking a lot of drugs. And then she's like, but look, I've got these rope burns on my wrist. Like, oh my God, I'm convinced the Loch Ness Monster does live in your basement and is tying you up. No, I would just think, okay, yeah, so you on top of everything else, you're doing self-harm.
Maybe she had a couple of those sleeping pills before.
Yeah, maybe they shared them. We didn't know it. Yeah. Hey, look at it. Let's take some of these lewds. Do you guys remember the 70s Invisible Man TV series?
Yeah.
Oh, super vaguely. Was that with David McCullum? Or?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's another series I invested an entire season for no good reason.
There's nothing cheaper than a cheap Invisible Man movie or TV show because they literally just put the camera and it's like, oh, look, he's walking, and they're just swinging the camera in an empty room.
On strings.
But wonderfully so, though. Yeah.
A great science fiction concept. Just make the creatures invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was an episode of Night Gallery. Of course, everybody, like I said, everybody did their thing. She was in the, wait a minute, I lost it. Maybe I'm I'm wrong. No, there it is. She was in the TV movie, The $6 Million Man, not the series, but the movie that came first. I don't. Yeah. You guys remember that it was a
there was like 2 or 3
movie first. Yeah.
She did 7 episodes of Mission Impossible as the same character. It looks like
Mimi Davis. Whenever she was a villain.
I used to love that show.
Wow, one of the titles of it is Cocaine. That's interesting. The title of Night Gallery that she's in is Fright Night. What a great title that is.
Wow.
Of course, an actor that I think we've talked about from time to time on other podcasts is Felix Silla, however you pronounce it. I'm so sorry. Sweet man. Yeah, I managed to interview him twice on panels, once at Dragon Con, once at Carolina Fear Fest, which another one of those should be coming up pretty soon. Just a really down-to-earth, cool guy who was in everything. I mean, I met him at Canoga, and instantly he liked me because I didn't ask him about Ewoks, and I didn't ask him about Twiki. I asked him about the Manitou. The Manitou. And he was so happy to talk about anything other than the stuff. And then I asked him about Demon Seed. So that was probably the first 2 times he'd been asked about those in a while. He was a really cool guy. Really cool.
I would have asked him about Lidsville.
Lidsville, yes, Lidsville. Oh my God, the hat people. What was
Speaking of cocaine?
He was in puffing stuff.
He was not puffing stuff, but he might well be the front half of that.
No, he wasn't puffing stuff. I was asking what it was. He in puffing stuff?
Oh yeah. There's down at the bottom there.
He's the I
think he's probably the horse.
Okay. And what's the? Is that the baby from Demon Seed? Is that
Demon
what we were
Seed,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the Demon Seed baby. He played Lucifer in Battlestar Galactica, Cousin It.
Is that the name of that little robot?
Tweaky?
What? Tweaky? Wasn't it like Tweaky? Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was Tweaky.
Well, you said something about Lucifer, and I was just wondering.
Lucifer's
on,
the
Flash Gordon,
No, Battlestar Galactica was.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I was thinking Flash Gordon. Sorry, or
Tweaky might have been
Rogers.
Lucifer.
Buck Rogers. Buck Rogers. You guys are throwing me left and right. Stop. Getting so confused.
He was in House. He was one of the little ones that trying to drag the kid up the chimney or whatever it was. He probably made a lot of money. He would play little kids. So like he was Short Round's stuntman in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Wow.
When they had to do something dangerous, like have him, going down a cliff on a raft or something. Yeah. They can't put the kid in danger, so they put Felix in danger.
Well, I looked these up just to see if they were all little people, and Tamara Detroit or Detrue was billed as the shortest actress. I think she was, where did I see that? 31-inch actress. She helped portray E.T., but she also died at the age of 31.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, usually folks who are on either extreme, giants or little people, tend to, not everything is the right size. But he lived a good long life. He did. And seemed pretty okay up until the end. He was doing appearances almost right up to when he died. So miss him. He was a sweet guy.
And then Patty Maloney is the third one, and she was I think 4'11".
Yeah, they said, one thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say with the creatures, we really only get to see 3, but I got the impression there were more than 3.
Yeah, I think there was supposed to be more, but that's all they had costumed.
We only ever saw 3 together at one time.
Yeah. Yes.
And they were always
you'd see one in one area, and another one would be
because they're all 3 they're all 3 were in the upstairs with her, but yet they were also locking all the windows and the doors at the same time. It's like, okay, there's got to be more.
And I think I like this design. People have criticized it. I don't like the bodies. The body suits are pretty subpar, but they are what they are. But I think the head design kind of gives me like Pumpkinhead vibes, and there's just a cool folklorish quality to them, and also there's kind of a sadness to them. They're not. They are scary, but they don't look scary in the evil sense. It's more. There's almost just a kind of a mournful quality that they. So when I was a kid, and I didn't get that sense so much now, but it was almost like they were lonely, so they were trying to get her to become one of them. But again, I was under the impression that she was still a full-grown woman down there with these things, having lost her mind and now keeping them company.
Yeah, and they did, and the reason why that happens is because they kept her voice the same, where these voices were all but
thank you.
Yeah, but that's because they had to, otherwise you wouldn't realize it was really her.
Right.
And
she was fresh.
So
she was fresh.
So you have a damned if you do and damned if you don't scenario, and I think they made the right choice. But yeah, I can see where you think that she's down there cuddling all 3 of these guys, right?
None of this makes any sense. So at the end, they're like, at the end, now she's with him. It's like, yeah, someone's going to come and set us free. It's like, wait,
which is what they say at the beginning.
Yeah, they were set free. She set them free by opening the door against all good advice. So why do they need to be set free again now? I don't understand.
One thing he said, set free on the world.
Yeah, that's true.
But somehow that probably means
I'd like to see him try. I'll punt them right through the goalpost.
Yeah, she's but Kim Kirby's character is her own worst enemy, because even after I think it's doesn't the realtor tell her not to screw with the fireplace, and then Uncle Charlie tells her not to screw with the fireplace, and whatever you do, don't open up.
So what does she do?
First thing she does when they leave is go get a crescent wrench and start opening up the.
Well, I guess I'll have to do it.
So maybe if you were the husband watching this movie, the moral of the movie was, maybe you should listen when guys tell you not to do stuff, but you probably kept that to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a whole house to clean.
Absolutely.
Why do you got to open up?
It had nothing to do with guys. It had everything to do with warnings.
And they do kind of play loosey-goosey with how tall they are, because sometimes they look like they're the size of a book.
Right.
And then the other times they look like they're like 3 or 4, 3 foot tall. And then
when they're behind the books, they look much smaller than they do at other times.
And they're outside by the electrical box. They look like little 3-year-olds.
Yes, or when they're on the stairs, like even different shots of them on the stairs, they look different sizes depending on
when they're dragging her, to wherever, they look like, Felix Sela size, Yeah.
But
we have to give them a pass.
It didn't bother me, but you notice it though.
You do notice it.
Well, that scene scared. That was creepy as hell. Even now, watching that now, as they're dragging her, I'm yelling, and then once I see them get her in there, and then you hear that scream that turns into a hollow scream. I thought was a great sound effect.
Yeah, and
she just got sucked into the.
Yeah, and she even, I love that, because she's half out of it because she's all doped up on the sleeping pills, but she reaches up and knocks the table over, and what falls off the table is like one of those old cameras like Kolchak runs around with, and she used it a couple times to scare him. I thought that was so cool. It just isn't enough. So
I think sleeping pills.
Somebody's got a picture of them somewhere. What's that? Sleeping pills?
Sleeping pills were a lot more powerful back then, because the ones they give you now, all they do is make you loopy and constipated. But back then, you could, the monsters could knock you out with just one or two. They
might have been Quaaludes. You never know. She took 6 of them. She took them all.
Oh, that's right. They gave her a super dose too. Yeah, that's amazing. She could even, respond.
Do half of what she did. Yeah. But I don't know. It's fine. It was.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's silly, but it's fine. If you play Dungeons and Dragons, I didn't know this. There's a creature called the Meenlock, Meen, not M-E-A, but Meenlock, and it resembles what these creatures look like. But I think they're both probably based on, like you said, Bill. They have a folklore kind of grimly feel to them.
Yeah, and that ending also kind of has sort of that fairy tale quality to it, stories you'd tell around the campfire and everything, and then by the time the husband got there, it was too late.
Yeah. Now I have issues with what you said earlier at the beginning of this about, or that's a lot of horror films, maybe not on TV, and I think that's the difference. But horror films would have the downer ending. Matter of fact, a lot of films in the 70s had the downer endings. They would, what is it? Crazy Larry, Dirty Larry, Crazy Mary,
Crazy Larry.
That
greatest ending ever.
Yes. Also used in what is it? The Fall Guy. Fall Guy. The Fall Guy has it actually in the opening credits.
Oh wow.
The crash scene. The train.
It's not the same, but
the TV show, not the movie.
Same, it's just a clip instead.
I was really into the British stuff. The Hammer films always ended with good triumphing over evil.
Yeah.
And everything. But every American vampire movie ends with, we think the vampire is dead, and then all of a sudden we turn, the girl's been turned into a vampire too. Count Yorga did that every time.
Yeah. And then it became a thing. They would end like Carrie ends with a hand coming up.
Right.
Omen ends with the father doesn't win, right? The Damien turns around and has that evil smile, so it's
because we got to have a sequel. No one's going to go see a movie called Damien's Dad.
Damien's Dad.
Well, I'm still stuck on I'm still stuck on the train crash. Also, Vanishing Point.
Vanishing Point is another one, which I saw that as a double feature.
That's a great movie. I saw that recently. In fact,
which one? Vanishing Point, or
I think maybe I bought it. I don't know. It was amazing. But I had to buy a foreign one.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great movie, but it's not. At least when I bought it, it wasn't available in the U.S.
Now is the part on Sprockets where we talk about other movies.
Another actor. Let me tell you another thing about William Frawley.
Run out of stuff.
Who's this person? We don't even know who you're talking about. Some dude that's out here somewhere. All right. Well, let's go ahead and shall we move on from this one? and get into our feedback? Are you guys ready to do that?
Yes.
All right. So as we transition into that, again, we want to state that we'd love for you to give us feedback about when you saw this particular film, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and what did you think of it? Do you have fond memories? Do you think the costumes look too silly to make it good? Oh, well, Chad. And of course, we also want to mention that we have Patreon, and members of Patreon can get a special episode, a Patreon exclusive of Decades of Horror, where we do Kolchak the Night Stalker. So every 2 weeks, we'll have a new episode of that. All 20 episodes we are planning on covering, which we start in the as we're recording. The first episode will go up next week.
Yay!
So we invite you to join Patreon and catch those exclusive.
That first episode
Night
was
Stalker.
a lot of fun too.
It is. All right. So let's get into feedback. So what do we got, Jeff?
Well, right off the bat, we have one from episode 132, Asylum of Satan.
Wow.
Which everybody remembers was directed by
William Gridler.
From Jose.
Gridler. You say Gridler?
Gridler. Griddle. He was a heck of a Gridler.
I didn't want to. Yeah. Anyway, from Jose. Doc, want to take that one?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know this director well at all. I saw Grizzly about 1 million years ago on TV, and the one I hear about most is The Manitou. And the consensus is that it's glorious mess, but everyone seems to like it. I sadly have not, but I think there's a 4K out there recently that I might just have to have my name on it. Oh, Day of the Animals. I remember seeing that on TV when I was a kid. The scene with the bare-chested Leslie Nielsen roaring and challenging large carnivores is stuck with me all these years. Oh, we did cover that. That was a fun episode.
That was.
Yeah, that was before Leslie Nielsen became a comedic actor 100% of the time.
Yeah. That answers that question. Would you rather see a man or a bear in the woods? And it's like, if it's Leslie Nielsen and a bear, then they're just going to be charging each other and you can walk away.
At least one of them's covered. One of them's covered with just a little bit more fur than the other.
And the other's soon to be covered in blood.
Yeah, so that's one of our favorites. Jose, you know that's the Black Saints' favorite director. So when these two early ones, Asylum of Satan and 3 on a Meat Hook, became available, we had to cover them.
Yes, we did. I think the only one left is the Possession one, right?
Abby.
Abby. Yeah, good luck finding Abby.
Yeah, there are some really bad copies out there, and I don't want to. I mean, if push comes to shove, we'll do it.
I think it'll show up again.
But that one has
an article. I saw an article talking about all the Exorcist knockoffs, and it called Abby one of the worst. And I don't believe that.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe, having seen some of them.
But anyway. All right. Episode 142, Blood-Sucking Freaks. Also from Jose, and I think that one's earmarked for Chad.
All righty. Jose says, I saw this one only once on VHS when I was working at the video store right after high school graduation and first semester in college. I'm assuming it says it was pretty stomach turning, and I have not revisited it since. I've watched The Wizard of Gore many more times.
Understandable.
Yes.
Well, because that's HGL.
It's trash, but it's entertaining trash.
Yeah, Blood-Sucking Freaks was sort of.
What was that, Chad?
I can do this all day.
Don't.
All right.
You hurt somebody.
Episode 142, we just did that one. Episode 192, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. In our where we combined the interview with director John D. Hancock, and this is from Robert Mueller, who had a series of comments before, and he added another one, a quote from Jessica. They probably get back in their cages after dark. What a bunch of weirdos. I think that was one of the guys as they looked at the people in the town as they were driving around. I don't know. It was a good quote. All right, episode 211. Now we're up to the more recent ones. Trog from Andy L. And I'm not going to skip Bill all the time, but this one's actually to Doc. So
let Bill read it because he can address it like he's talking to me.
Oh, okay. Hi, Doc. Like you, I first saw Trog on late night on TV in the early 1970s. While it didn't have the same impact on me as it did on you, I remember a fair amount of the film, but no doubt I will go back and rewatch it again. My memories are of it not being that great.
It's not.
Reason I'm writing this to you is because of your dream comments. From the age of 4, I almost said 41. From the age of 4, I started watching all the horror films on TV that I could catch. In New York, we had Chiller Theater, Creature Features, etc. on the weekends. One of them always included clips of Vampira and Tor Johnson in the graveyard from Plan 9 in their introductory credits. So it was an image that I would see over and over. I remember a very vivid dream I had when I was maybe 5 of the Frankenstein monster and Count Dracula from Abbott and Costello, Meet Frankenstein, chasing after me in the graveyard from Plan 9 with arms outstretched and getting closer and closer, but never quite catching up. But waking up terrified that they would.
Knocking over all the styrofoam.
All those the cardboard and stuff.
Yeah. I had dreams of Vampira. But anyway, so similar to your dream that combined with the troglodyte with other settings, I too had a memorable mashup of early horror memories that has stuck with me for more than 60 years. Of course, I'm not as frightened of Bella and Boris now as when I was a child. Sure, whatever. Take care. And sorry I couldn't fit in time to guest on an episode, though I was honored that Jeff did ask, but still a loyal listener, Andy L.
Yay, Andy.
Maybe next time, Andy.
Yep. So he did something very similar to I did because I had Frankenstein, taking the place of the Trog monster, walking through the same scenes, and he had Dracula and Frankenstein taking the place, which is great because I could see that. I can visualize that exact thing happening.
Andy sends me stuff every now and then. The last one was a link where the title and the link was "Your Blu-rays won't last as long as you think," or something like that.
Oh wow, that's nice to hear.
I'm afraid to click on it. I just don't want to see that. Anyway, all right, on to episode 212, "The Ghost Galleon" from Robert Baker. And I don't know, where are we at? I guess we're at Doc.
Yeah, that's me. Robert Baker says about the Ghost Galleon, so glad this film got covered. I was introduced to the Blind Dead films after one night of browsing through $10 clearance section in my now sadly long defunct Suncoast video store. Oh my God, there's a name I haven't heard in a while. I picked up the Anchor Bay DVD of the first 2 films on one disc and watched them that night. Until then, I had no idea these movies existed. I enjoyed them quite a bit, as I had always been interested in the real-world history of the Knights Templar. With all the stories around, group a horror. Wait, I'm messing up that. With all the stories around group a horror series like this was a great idea. We'll just go with that. Later, as the guest host pointed out, I saw the third film on one of these cheap public domain sets I used to pick up often. The final film I wouldn't be able to see until the Blue Underground Coffin box set came out with all 4 films on it. I always figured the reason the Blind Dead were on the ship in the galleon must have had something to do with the historic story of how the Templar fleet set sail from La Rochelle and was never heard from again. And I think each set of Blind Dead are different groups of each in each film, since the Knights were so far reaching back in their day. That's actually a good point. This film isn't the best of the 4, but I love the horror film set on the beach or on an ocean. I even pop in my Blu-ray of Death Ship from 1980, starring Richard Crenna and George Kennedy. Oh, you watched. We got to do that sometime. Just to see the creepy Nazi ghost ship because it's done so well. I can't remember offhand if you've covered that one before. Take care until the next show.
We have not. Maybe I should write that down.
Yep, that would be on the 80s though, unfortunately. So
that sounds like
for me.
It might be on there already. I'm not sure.
But I don't know. I know, Chad, were you this? So it was like a mainstay for like a year on the like HBO or Cinemax or one of those channels. Do you remember that?
Death Ship.
Death Ship with George Kennedy
yeah.
and
Yes, sir.
I saw it in the theater.
Oh man, it's I
You
don't
saw it
remember
in the theater.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you, Robert. And another one on episode 212, The Ghost Galleon from Scott Wells. Chad?
Scott says, how's it going, Scott? I love the atmosphere of the Ghost Galleon, even if you want to punch most of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I always assumed that the Galleon was one of the Templar ships. They weren't being transported by someone else. They were owned and crewed by the Templars themselves and set sail around the time the King of France and the Pope came after them. They used the ship to escape the trials, and it happened to be a good place to hang out and be dead. But admittedly, I've not watched in several years, so the story is a bit fuzzy in my head, or maybe that's just me.
No,
well, yes, the story's a bit fuzzy, period.
Yeah.
They don't really tell you. It just shows up. But that actually, I love this. We've got 2 listeners that are telling us a historical fact there. They escaped. So thanks, Scott.
Yeah,
now on to episode 213, Daughters of Darkness. Mikey Z. Where are we at? Bill, I think.
Mikey Z says of Daughters of Darkness. Watching it again, there's a shot where Valerie is standing in the same position as Iona, and Elizabeth is standing in the foreground. Moments like this elevate this film to art and not the cookie cutter universe of films. The use of the color
that's a
red
good shot. They're on both sides. Yeah.
Oh, this movie's very well composed. The use of the color red against mostly pallid design is there to enhance the emotional impact of the scenes as well. The mother scene also raises the stakes in the film. I see what you did there. Stefan seems to be the perfect victim to be disposed of. All the non-vampiric characters seem soulless to me prior to turning.
Hey, he mentions the color, and that's something I don't remember if we talked about this or not, but somewhere I read that the director picked red, white, and black as the dominant colors because it symbolized Nazi Germany.
Wow. Okay. All right.
That's cool. Great podcast, guys. When I mentioned I hope the next one is better in my feedback of the previous episode, I was referring to the subject, the Ghost Galleon, and not the DOH podcast. Yeah, we got that.
That's what I chose.
Yeah, that's how I'll take it. Great to see Greg return to the 1970s. I know how he feels about the black hole, but what about the swarm? That's right. Swarmiacs out there want their chance. We are thriving, and we will have our day. Just like you troglodytes, we will have our day. Love you guys. If you love us, why you keep trying to inflict the swarm on us?
The swarm. Chad tried. We denied him.
Denied at the open gate.
We did. We will do it.
So now here's one from Robert Baker on Daughters of Darkness. I forget where we at, Chad?
Well, you haven't done one in a while.
Yeah,
I could do this one. Robert Baker says, I like this movie, but I can totally see how 90% of people wouldn't. I discovered this about the time I was really getting into 70s Euro vampire movies like Jean Rollins flicks. Weird stuff. That sounds like Johnny Carson. Weird stuff.
Yeah.
I along with things like vampires with a Y, The Devil's Nightmare, Baba Yaga, eerie midnight horror show, and Paul Naschy movies, to name a few. That's interesting to lump those in there. There is just something about these types of films that appeal to me. They are an acquired taste, most definitely. Euro films of this kind and giallo were genres that I first had a hard time getting into because it was so different from what I was used to. But after getting the hang of the way things work in these films, I suddenly got it, and then really started to enjoy them. I wanted to see as many as I could. Things like the music, beautiful cinematography, and locations helped win me over. I was also able to adjust to the slow pacing and the dialogue-heavy content these films possess. But in the end, not everyone's cup of tea. But glad you covered it. Just a quick follow-up. John Carlin's character on Dark Shadows, Willie Loomis, was the not-so-bright petty criminal that, in an attempt to rob the Collins crypt, ended up releasing trapped vampire Barnabas Collins from his coffin in the modern era. Barnabas then forced Willie into servitude as his daytime guardian. Pretty much the Renfield role, but minus the books.
Yeah, that does bring back memories. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for refreshing us on that. I was, you know, with Dark Shadows, I used to go home. I was in like junior high and high school, and we went home. It was on at like 3:30. If we went straight home from high school, we could catch it. And me and a buddy of mine did that for a while, but I don't remember a whole heck of a lot of it. And of course, as all soap opera structured plots are, you could see like 2 or 3 a week and totally keep up with the story.
Yeah, they didn't progress particularly fast, did
Yeah. Andy Morton on Daughters of Darkness, and Andy's in the UK, and he has a job, I think, producing or reproductions and music. He'll correct me, I'm sure, but he calls this movie a masterpiece, chilling, beautiful, and sexy, amazing soundtrack too. And he gives us a link to the soundtrack.
Nice.
On discogs.com. So I don't know if I should post that. Maybe I'll post that in the Facebook group.
There you go.
That.
Excellent. That's a great
214 To the Devil a Daughter, which just went live today.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Although Patreons could have got in on it a little sooner. To the Devil a Daughter from Jose. Doc?
Sure. Jose says, I've heard a great deal about this one over the years. Most of it quite negative. I've never seen it, however. The first time I watched Kiss of Death many years ago, I was so shocked by Widmark's Tommy Udo pushing the wheelchair-bound lady down the stairs, I backed it up and watched it again. I watched it a few months back on the Twilight Time Blu-ray, and that scene still holds its power. The Swarm. Oh, man. I have the laser disc, and it's the long version. And I mean long, like 2.5 hours. It's such a glorious train wreck. I enjoy rewatching it now again. It lends credence to the observation Roger Ebert once made regarding posters that have little pictures near the bottom. Richard Widmark as the general, etc., are generally bad films. It's not always true, but it is more often than not. Cheers. Yeah, I mean that started. Didn't it start with well, maybe it did before the Towering Inferno, and
I'm thinking maybe I should go look, but I was thinking maybe some of the World War II stuff in the 60s.
Yeah, I was
The Longest Day, and maybe
Kelly's Heroes and stuff like that, right? Yeah,
ensemble cast.
Some of those out.
But not like they did in by the 70s, man. Oh my gosh.
All right, and also from Mikey Z on To the Devil a Daughter. Where are we at? Oh, well, this is to Doc too. Who wants to read it like you're talking to Doc? Bill.
No,
Bill did a good job of that.
Doc, like you, I saw this on cable TV in the 80s, and I didn't like it then. Upon seeing it recently, I can honestly say without equivocation, unlike like you, this is the worst Hammer movie ever made. I thought the years would mature my attitude toward this film, but I found it boring. Christopher Lee is a fine villain, as are Denham Elliott and Honor Blackman in their roles. Richard Widmark was miscast. Kirk Douglas would have been much better off, or Cliff Robertson, as mentioned. Nastasha Kinski's dubbing was atrocious. A lot of it felt like a travelogue of London. I was amused by some of the Omen locations appearing in this film, namely Hyde Park.
Think about
some of the cuts were jarring, to say the least. The film has plot holes galore. What became of Lee's character? What happened to Elliott's character? When were the police called to investigate Blackman's corpse? And what happens to Widmark's character as a result? To just name a few. I'm glad the Grue Crew mentioned one of Widmark's less famous roles in, oh my God, The Swarm. What's wrong with you? You will do it someday.
I'm sure we will.
Might have to do it sooner or later just to get done with it.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop.
Well,
we have
Chad's pick is next, so we'll never know.
All right, and here's a short comment from Ralph Miller. Chad, take that.
Ralphie boy says, I enjoy this film quite a lot, even if it is wrong of me to feel this way, and it is. The Devil Spawn puppet was disappointing.
Yes, it was.
I like the little guy.
Nah, that looked like a. It's time to put on music. It's time to light the lights. It looked like some off the Muppet Show.
That'd be a great little man puppet to play with a baby with.
Yeah, what it?
All right. Why don't you? And this one's from Lee Milner. Bill.
Let me see. Lee Milner. Looking forward to listening to your opinions as ever. I usually watch the film being discussed prior to the show, but I don't think I could sit through this one again. Love the show. Keep up the good work. So, wow, they were.
Oh man,
people have spoken.
We woke the dead on that one, James.
They hate To the Devil a Daughter, and they want us to do the Swarm.
Yeah, if it's bad enough that they want us to do the Swarm as a replacement.
This is why democracy doesn't work.
I replied to Mikey when he said it was the worst horror Hammer film ever made. I replied to him and said, "We don't do bad movies on Decades of Horror, don't you know?"
Oh yeah,
they're all fun. They're all fun.
Keep at it.
Fury of the Wolfman.
All right.
Chad, poor Chad. All right, well there you go. We wrap things up. Do we know what our next choice is?
Well, we do, but let's these are our go-to guys that frequently stay in touch and let us know what they think. And we know that there are hundreds and even thousands of you out there that listen to this, and we would appreciate some other comments.
Yes.
Give us some feedback. What's the movie you want us to see? Anyway, or your experience.
When was the first time you saw the Swarm? Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, we do know. This one is Chad's.
Uh-oh.
What are we doing, Chad?
We are doing, is it The Alien Factor?
Oh.
The Alien Factor?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Don Doller.
It's time to watch
I'm just going to say, I started watching that the other day thinking I would make it a pick and went, nah.
Chad comes through.
Oh me.
Well, that's good. That's how
listen. When we were kids and we saw Star Wars, we all said we're going to make a movie just like that. And we got a Super 8 camera. We ran out and we made a movie just like
the Alien
Factor. So that's okay. There's a warm place in my heart.
And I think where did you find that?
Classic Horror Movie Channel.
Okay. All right, folks.
Well, there you go. That's our show for tonight. The review of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark from 1973, the TV movie. Yeah. You got something else,
Thanks,
Jeff?
Thanks also to Lone Wolf for the suggestion.
Yeah.
Yes, very much. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Chad, Jeff, Bill, thank you for joining me. As always, a lot of fun.
Thank you. It's a load of fun.
All right, with that, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.